Alana Jalo.
Rick Hammond.
We just saw an episode of Deep Space Nine that I find very problematic. However, it does set up something, and I thought that you might enjoy the episode.
I did.
Do you want to discuss it a little bit?
Do you want me to discuss both plots?
Yeah.
Okay. So Keiko O'Brien, and Miles O'Brien, Chief Miles O'Brien, is they are expecting a baby, but Keiko gets into an accident, experiences some internal hemorrhaging, and can no longer hold her baby, so the baby is taken out and implanted in Major Kira. That's weird, but it had to happen so that the baby could survive.
I actually really enjoy the B plot of this episode, which you just described.
Yes.
And I like the way it ended.
Yeah.
That part of the story.
I did too.
But now.
And then, so, Quark gets news from his doctor that he has is it Doric syndrome?
I believe so.
And that he is going to die in 6 days. Rom tells him he needs to sell his, what is it called? His physical, what is it?
His body on the Ferengi market.
On the Ferengi market.
What they do is when you die, they take parts of your body out and they put these into these little discs, and you can buy it on Ferengi.
Right. And that was going to be a way for for him to make profit, even when he's dead. And so yeah, I think you should go and explain the rest of it, because I just now saw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He gets this big bid for 500 bars of gold pressed latinum. For the entire lot, he sells it, believing that it's the Grand Nagus, who controls all of the businesses on Ferenginar and throughout the Ferengi Empire. Okay. Quark has done business with the Grand Nagus before. He thinks that this is his way of paying Quark back. We learn that Quark's doctor got it wrong, and he is in fact not dying. He can't go back on the deal because it turns out that it's Brent from the FCA who actually bought the remains of Quark.
Right. Right.
Garrick is brought in by Quark to kill him. He doesn't want to know when.
He doesn't want to know how.
Right. Quark has a vision and decides to back out of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I'm good with this.
Yes.
The ending is where I have a problem.
And I don't understand it either.
Okay. I have an explanation, and I know that sometimes I reach, but I like things to make rational sense. So let me tell you the ending, and then I'm going to explain what I believe went on behind the scenes. Brent finds out about Quark breaking the contract, and he closes down the bar, which is his right as representing the Ferengi Empire. Takes all of his stuff and leaves. We see Quark and Rom where the bar used to be, talking about life, and then people from the station come in and deliver goods so that he can reopen.
Right.
I didn't like that ending. I thought it was a little bit too happy and upbeat. But I do have an explanation. This is what I think happened.
Okay.
And again, this may be me justifying an inconsistency in the show, but hear me out. At this point in the show, Rom works for Starfleet. He's not an official officer,
right,
but he's an engineer.
Yep.
Okay. We know that Dax is friends with Quark. Nog is also a cadet at the academy.
Yep.
And is kind of mentored by Sisko, and he's also friends with Jake as well.
Jake, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We can assume that when this happened to Quark, all of them went to Captain Sisko and said, hey, this is really unjust. What's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they all go to him. This doesn't happen on camera. Again, this is my assumption. And then Sisko, having a lot of power, probably contacts the Grand Nagus, finds out that, Quark has done some favors for him. He probably also realizes the thing about the doctor. And he also likely gets assurances that eventually, because of what the doctor did, that Quark's ability to do business with other Ferengis will eventually be reinstated, because Quark can sue the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And Brent might be accused of overreaching at some point. So he figures, well, I can give him this stuff now, and it'll look good to Quark. Plus, I'll earn some brownie points from the people around me who really love him and his work.
Right.
And eventually his license will be restored. So this will be a moot point anyways. I'm just rushing this along. What do you think of that explanation?
It's a possible theory.
Yes.
Possible explanation and a possible theory as to why that happened. And I didn't understand it because so as much as I love happy endings, okay?
Yes.
And this is something I've been thinking about since we just saw it. I was thinking that maybe because of Quark's actions in the past, right? How he was with his workers before. Around the time that Rom started that union, remember? And he wasn't doing the will of his workers. He wasn't giving them vacation time, taking money out of their salary, not treating them with the utmost respect, right? I would think that it would have been interesting to see this as a consequence to his actions, that his bar would not be open for a long time.
I completely agree. Another reason they might want to help Quark reopen, we know that a lot of people come there to discuss crimes, right? And Odo is against that, and obviously nobody at Starfleet wants there to be a hub for criminals.
Right.
Having said that, if you know that that element congregates in one place, you sort of have a centralized location instead of having to spread your resources throughout the station more.
Right. That's like the hub of. It's like their hangout, right?
Yes.
The people of the station go there to hang out and relax.
Exactly.
But I would have liked to have seen him be held accountable for his actions.
Or at least a better explanation instead of
Right.
me having to come up with one.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it would have been interesting to see, just how long his bar would be closed for, and just to see, that even the most greediest of Ferengis can be held accountable for their actions.
I had a lot of debate in my head on whether or not to show you this episode.
Why?
Well, it does set up some stuff with the O'Briens and Major Kira. But the ending is so bad in my eyes that I almost felt like I should have just explained to you what happens.
Oh.
That said, I also know that you enjoy episodes about the Ferengi more than I do.
I do, just because, they're usually the B plot, and everybody else, Dax, Kira, the O'Briens, the Ciscos, right? A lot of them are the A plots, and Otto too, right? And I don't know. I don't know much about the Ferengi. I think they're kind of weird, but they're amusing to me. I know.
I hope that this does not spoil you in wanting to watch the rest of the series.
No, of course not.
Okay.
I just wish that it would have been interesting to see a different ending for Quark, because he always got what he wanted for the most part. Does that make sense?
It does.
He's never held accountable for why he is a Ferengi.
He's never held accountable for his actions.
He's never ever held accountable for his actions.
It's not necessarily that he always gets what he wants, but he also doesn't get punished for the things that he does.
I think it's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Like, he's never. So it felt to me like when they were opening his bar again, it felt like he was being bailed out.
Absolutely, that was the case.
Yeah, and I don't like episodes where people are being bailed out all the time.
And that's typical 90s TV. You just think that a show that is this good would avoid something like that.
But that was in 1990.
Probably 7.
1997. So I mean, things have changed. I would hope that there would be more series that held people accountable, because no one is being held accountable, and those. I shouldn't say no one is, but at least for the Ferengi, he has not been held accountable. But that's what I wanted to see.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably 96, but it's close enough.
Right. Yeah. We were so young back then.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry I put you through that.
Oh, it's
a debate.
It's okay. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm sorry you
I didn't
put
torture
me
you for
through
3
that.
days.
I'm sorry you
You're
put
still
me through
alive.
that.
Your limbs
I've-
still work.
Yes, yes. We survived yesterday. No, I'm kidding. No, yesterday was wonderful.
Let's talk a little bit about DS9, and then we'll segue into the films in yesterday.
Yes.
Before we watched that atrocious ending to that episode,
Right.
we saw one that I really, really enjoy, and I'm curious to get your thoughts about it. I think it's called Oath to Death or To the Death. I'm horrible with names.
To the death, I think.
Something to that effect. It's the one where the Jem'Hadar have to team up with the Federation to catch these rogue Jem'Hadars before they figure out this way to invade wherever they want to go.
That was really interesting.
I love that episode.
It was so action packed. I thought it was really interesting because then you meet Wei Yun, who happens to be the same guy who played Brunt. Isn't that interesting?
It is.
I didn't realize it until you told me, and I'm like, that does sound very familiar. I thought, oh, okay, interesting.
Wei Yun is one of those characters you love to hate because he's so conniving and sniveling,
Mm-hmm.
and he worships Otto.
I thought that was really funny. Yes.
What were your thoughts about the messages in this episode?
So I thought, okay, so I know this was a really, really funny scene when that Jem'Hadar soldier was talking to Commander Dax, and how they don't live to be past 30 years old, right?
And if one of us makes it to 20, they are considered an honored soldier.
And in the Jem'Hadar world, they are really, really old. They grow old fast. And Dax is
I
like,
am 8.
he said he's 8, and Dax said, well, what did she say about her being 300?
He asked Dax, "How old are you?"
Mm-hmm.
To which she replied by saying, "I stopped counting
After 300, at 300. And I think he said, you don't look it. I thought that was hilarious. And it's the differences in the alien cultures are so interesting. Some are more aggressive than others, and others are just trying to coexist.
Somebody is straight up murdered in front of most of the crew,
Yes, that was
including Cisco.
that was an interesting scene. Yeah. Yes.
To me, this is an episode with the messages working with people who are different from you,
Mm-hmm.
that share a common interest.
Right.
But realizing that once a goal is accomplished, you leave as enemies.
Right. You go your separate ways.
And then if you see each other again, the battle is still on.
Uh-huh. I would agree.
I think it's an excellent ending to this one.
Yes.
The one Jem'Hadar soldier was going to kill Cisco,
Mm-hmm.
but because the captain saved his life, he agreed to let Cisco and the rest of the crew go.
What I thought was interesting because remember Worf punched out that Jem'Hadar,
Yes.
and
He didn't exactly punch him out, but they got into a tussle.
they were tussling with each other. They were they were fighting with each other, and Captain Cisco told him to go to his quarters. Well, then I ask you, well, I thought he was supposed to be in his quarters for the rest of the mission. Why is he on the mission?
What you got to realize is Worf is probably the best soldier that Cisco has under his command, outside of maybe Kira, who is not on the starship at the time. She's back guarding the station.
Right.
And it's all good to punish him, but at the end of the day, you want your best soldier fighting with you in a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't show that on camera, but that to me is a much easier leap than Quark getting his bar back.
So she is off the ship. Kira is off the Defiant.
No, she's back at the station because remember the station got attacked,
Right.
And somebody needed to stay there to coordinate rebuilding and getting shit situated there, and so she was in charge of that.
And then everybody else was
on the Defiant.
on the Defiant.
Besides
okay.
for Bashir, who stayed back to help with people who were injured. Because remember, when at the beginning of the episode, after the rogue Jem'Hadar attacked the station, we learned that there are 18 people who died in the attack, 31 people who are missing, and over 100 people who are in need of urgent medical care.
Okay.
So somebody needed to coordinate that. And somebody also needed to prepare in case other warships came along. And that's why Kira and Bashir stayed behind.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think now, babe?
Okay. That explains it.
You were not turned off to DS9.
No,
Okay, do you think we did a good job covering that episode?
I think so.
What did you think of the episode we watched last night with Cassidy Yates and Eddington?
Yeah, that was. I didn't know what to think about that.
I love that episode.
It is very good. I didn't know what to think about her.
Do you want to give a little bit of a description?
So there was an investigation of the Maquis soldiers, correct?
Yes.
The Maquis, who are terrorists, and in fact, Major Carey used to be a part of the Maquis terrorists.
No.
No, they got it wrong. I'm sorry. What?
Okay, let me give you a little bit of Star Trek history. The Maquis initially were fighting over some land. They're part of the Federation, but the Federation gave up these planets in negotiations with, I believe, the Cardassians. And the Maquis disagreed with that, so they became these rogue Federation officers, basically, who defend their land.
Okay, I guess I was confused because wasn't Major Carey... Oh, wait, I was thinking about the Bajorian terrorists.
Major Kira was a terrorist, but she was part of the Shakar resistance.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Anyways, keep going.
My mistake. Okay.
I sound like a complete asshole nerd saying that, but keep going, babe.
I never called you any names, but
Go ahead.
if I did,
Keep on going, babe.
I probably... No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't call you that. That's just mean. I would imagine you going, well, obviously.
Do you want to describe the episode or not, babe?
I will. Okay, so from my understanding, and I think you would describe it better, but from what I understand about this episode, there was an investigation of Cassidy Yates because she was on a freighter ship, which was, what were they doing for the Maquis again?
Okay.
Explain it.
Otto and Eddington believe that Cassidy Yates, who is a freighter captain, is delivering supplies to the Maquis to help them.
That's right.
It's mostly medical stuff. It's not weapons, but that's still enabling an enemy.
And she felt obligated. That's why she had to leave so much, because that was her job. She had a job to do. She felt obligated, and she didn't know that she was doing anything wrong.
What we find out in this episode is the reason that Eddington really pushed for the investigation is because he himself is a Maquis spy. And he thinks that by distracting Cisco with Cassidy Yates, he can steal these replicators that are meant for the Cardassian Empire. That are very, very powerful replicators. They're not just stuff that you find in Quarks. They do like special things.
They're technologically advanced, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But he needs a reason. He needs the ability to steal them, and for that he needs a reason to distract Cisco, because he knows people in the Maquis. He understands what Cassidy Yates is doing. Mm-hmm. Cassidy doesn't know that he's in the Maquis, but he knows that she's helping them. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit complicated, but
it sounds complicated.
Keep going, babe.
So they told Captain Cisco what was going on, and at this point, Captain Cisco and Cassidy are very much into their relationship, and it's possible that she would have to spend time in prison, and he didn't want to believe that she would do that, and but I think was it am I correct when she told Captain Cisco that she quit her job?
You're thinking of another episode.
Did I?
Yes.
No. I was thinking of the same one, except I don't think I got that correct.
You didn't get... I know what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
You're talking about at the end of the episode where she comes back.
Yeah, she comes back.
She didn't have to return to DS9, but she felt that... She knew that if she didn't come back, she would always be on the run and things would never get resolved with Ben.
Right. And also in the end of the towards the end of the episode, she does get arrested
At the very end.
at the
yes.
very end. Yeah. So I liked it. I just didn't know what to think. I was very surprised.
That to me is an example of a great ending to a DS9 episode.
Where somebody being held accountable?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not only that, but we know that the captain is in love, but we also understand that the person he's in love with has to go on trial for betraying the Federation, and the character that we know from previous episodes is actually a traitor.
Right. Right. You're talking about her character.
Well, she's the one that he loves, but Eddington was a traitor
yes.
to the
Eddington
Federation.
was the spy, yep.
And there's a great episode with him in season 5. I believe it's called For the Uniform. I might have the title a little bit wrong, but I can't wait to show you that episode at some point.
But yeah, this episode was very, I did like it. It was very interesting. I'm interested to see on what happens with her.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, before this was going on, I didn't know much about her because she was always leaving.
Because he was a freighter captain.
Right, that's right. Now that I know more about it, yeah. But before, when her and Ben Sisko were just starting to get acquainted and getting into a relationship, and they were not serious.
Now they're starting to grow.
But now they're starting to grow, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm interested to see how that turns out.
We also viewed the episode Family Business, which, again, it's a Ferengi episode,
Yes.
but I thought that you might get the kick out of it.
I did. I thought, okay, this is interesting to me because and I mean, I find it very interesting because the Ferengi are apparently very oppressive towards women. They don't want them to wear clothes. They don't think that they are smart enough to earn profit or have any business ventures. And turns out that that Ishka, her name, Ishka, aka Mugi, their mother, Quark and Rom's mother, knew more about making money than their father, which I thought was really interesting. He was a good provider, a good husband, a good father, but not very good with money.
Was he a good father?
That's what she said. I don't know. That's what she claims.
What did you think about this episode overall?
I thought it was interesting. It really, I mean, I keep forgetting that they're human, right?
I know. That's why the show,
forget-
to me, that's what makes it such a unique show, is because you are able to suspend disbelief.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that they're human and they really don't feel this way. But it's interesting how the Ferengi culture views a lot of things in life that are important, like relationships between mothers and sons and fathers and sons and women are females and males, right? So females in the Ferengi culture don't have a lot of rights. They don't have they don't have the freedom to express themselves because the males are more dominant in the culture. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of interesting.
I so much enjoy the mythology of Star Trek because you really get, somewhat of an understanding of Klingon culture or Cardassian, way of life, or the Ferengis.
Yeah.
I just think that the mythology on the show is great.
And how they put that all together, because it's a lot of cultures to think about.
Yeah, they're juggling many things.
How they put that together is brilliant.
Yes.
And technology, replicators, interesting replicators. What they do.
Not only that, but the transporter.
Yeah, the transporters, the comm badges, the communicators, the phasers. It's kind of fun to think about that.
It is.
What if that was real?
What if it is? Some would argue that modern day cell phones came out of Star Trek. So there, I've heard rumors online that scientists were inspired by Star Trek, the communicators from the original series, to design cell phones. I don't know if that's true or not because I've also seen There's this great video on YouTube of this lady in the 1940s using a cell phone.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of people about 10 years ago were saying that this is proof of time travel. But apparently, this lady worked for AT&T, and she was like one of 4 people in the country who was given a cell phone to use.
In 1940.
In the 1940s.
In the 1940s, really?
Either that or time travel is real, and they just don't want to tell us.
I like the first theory better.
Okay.
That she was one of the few people that were able to use a cell phone in the 1940s.
But people have made the argument that if Star Trek didn't inspire cell phones, they at least gave scientists some guidelines about how to make cell phones smaller.
Yeah, and how much smaller they are.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they come in all different sizes, but the real high tech smartphones are slightly bigger, I think now.
Not really.
Not really?
They're not huge. They're not
Well,
like they were back in the day.
No, they're not huge, but they are. I don't know. They're good. They're medium.
What do you think about that when you hear a story about something that happened in the past that is more related to our times? For example, the cell phone thing with the lady, or that picture of that guy in Brooklyn in like 1930, and he looks just like Jay-Z.
What? I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, there's a picture online, and I believe it's in the early 30s, and it's this guy who's like, if you put a picture of him and Jay-Z next to each other, they look exactly alike.
That is so weird.
Except for his clothes are of that period.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting, actually. Huh.
Makes you wonder, babe.
I suppose.
And then there's always those rumors about Jay-Z and Beyonce being involved with the Illuminati.
Yeah, I know there's some people in my family that are really absolutely sure that they are a part of it, but I'm not too. I don't really get into that. I don't really get that whole thing. I think they are kind of nuts, but I think they are nuts anyway. But I don't know about the whole Illuminati. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or not. I just don't get into that, I guess.
I don't believe that there is currently a group called the Illuminati that runs the world. Having said that, I believe that there's probably 5 to 10 groups with various names that have a major voice in what goes on this planet.
Yeah. What disturbs me, because I've heard a clip of this, and I will mention, I don't know, well, should I mention her name?
Is it a celebrity?
Yes.
If it's a celebrity, yes.
Katy Perry, okay? I actually heard a clip of her, and I can't remember where, so I'm sorry I can't quote where I heard a clip of her, but I heard a clip of her a while back admitting that she sold her soul to the devil, and that I think it was this thing about the Illuminati, and that the Illuminati has taken over Hollywood, and they're talking about the Illuminati sign. And I thought, this is interesting, because I don't really keep up with that. I don't really keep up with it. I know people that do, but I don't know about that.
I have not heard this clip. For all I know, the voice could have been doctored.
No, that was really her.
They could have edited it a certain way.
I really don't think so.
I don't know.
It sounds very weird to me, so I don't. I mean, that's what I heard. I just heard a clip of it from that thing I was watching a long time ago.
I'm also not a Katy Perry fan.
I'm not either. I'm not either. And both of us for different reasons, and we don't need to comment on that. Yes.
Ladies should have different people at her birthday parties. Let's just say that.
Exactly. Was it her birthday?
In Chicago.
It was.
Anyways.
Okay.
We don't have to go there.
We don't have to go there. It's not that important.
It's not that important. It did get me out of a tight situation. I have
Right.
my own Katy Perry story. That's for another day.
And she's not all that important either.
Yeah. Although, and I know I've been talking about Howard Stern a lot recently. Mm-hmm. She was on Howard Stern about a month ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wasn't sure if I wanted to listen to it or not because of the whole thing. And I turned it on. It was actually really good. She was talking about how she's pregnant now.
Oh, really?
But when her nieces were born, I don't know if this is true, supposedly she was there and helped her sister deliver them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And she was talking about, you know, what it's like being in a family that's politically divided because her mom, I believe, is a big Trump supporter and Katy Perry is not.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, my family's kind of like that too. Actually, I don't.
Way?
No, we're kind of divided politically. I mean, we don't really talk about it, but we are kind of divided politically.
There are some liberals in your family.
There are some, but I don't know that they're like flaming liberals. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I mean, we don't really talk about that kind of. We don't really talk about politics in my family. Occasionally we do, but it's not like the topic of discussion.
Babe, there may be hope for you yet. Anyways, you don't have to tickle me.
Yes, I think I should.
Okay.
Right. Just because I haven't done it today yet. There may be hope for you.
All right, tickle truth?
Tickle truth.
Okay.
For now.
Jalo?
Yes.
We watched some films last night.
Oh, yes. Some very good ones.
You want to elaborate?
The first one we watched was A Fish Called Wanda, and I for some reason I did not see it, but maybe it's because I was still very young and there was some pretty adult content in there. But I was very pleasantly surprised at how funny it was. It was really funny.
I love the film, but I probably haven't watched it since the late 90s or early 2000s. Do you want to go into it a little bit?
It's about this bank heist gone very, very wrong. What's her name? Jamie Lee Curtis plays Wanda Gershwitz, correct?
That's what she's calling herself.
That's what she's calling herself. Whether her name is really Wanda, I don't know. And Kevin Kline's character, who's Otto, he's a very interesting person.
The first time you see him, he has this alarm go off, picks up a gun, and shoots 2 walls. He lies back down on his bed and reads some Nietzsche.
You know what they say about people who read Nietzsche, though?
Tell me.
I heard that people that read Nietzsche are really uptight.
That would not surprise me, but keep on
Like
going.
Nietzsche is, yeah. I heard some things about Nietzsche. It's probably why I haven't read him. Anyway,
The
yeah.
central idea of Buddhism is not every man for himself.
Yes.
But keep going.
That's what she said. And the London Underground is not a political movement.
Plato was not Belgium.
No, that was Aristotle.
Aristotle, yeah, excuse me.
So in this, so Kevin Kline and Jamie Lee Curtis are a couple in this movie, and Jamie Lee Curtis is very smart. Kevin Kline thinks he's intellectually smart, but very, very stupid in many ways.
But they're pretending to be brother and sister.
Yeah, and so they're helping with this bank heist. And George is the leader of it, correct?
Yes.
George is the leader of it, and he leaves Ken in charge of keeping the money safe, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, some things ensue. They give George the diamonds, correct?
George puts the diamonds in a safe before Otto and Wanda can retrieve them because they rat him out to the police.
Right.
The diamonds are hidden and they don't know where.
Right. So.
But Ken has the key.
So meanwhile, a lot of things ensue. Really, really funny things. Wanda gets in contact with Archie Leach, who is played by the great John Cleese.
Yes, one of my favorites.
And Archie Leach is George's lawyer. Well, she devises a plan to kind of figure out a way to get him to work with him a little bit. And so at first she pretends that she is really, really into him. And Otto's and this is why I think Kevin Kline got an Oscar for it, because Otto has been watching her interactions with Archie from wherever he is, right? Remember, he's really good at sneaking in houses.
Yeah, one thing you got to understand about Otto, he's not an intellectual by any means.
He's out of his mind.
But he knows how to use a gun, and he's pretty good at hiding.
And it's just so funny that every time he's caught in something like a room, and he can't get the lock, he just shoots. He just shoots it open, as if that was like the only option, right?
Well, I believe he only does that at Heathrow Airport, but
okay.
It is shown in the film.
But he's very funny but very deranged.
Correct.
Very deranged in the head, and he kind of like tries to trip up Ken, because he thinks Ken is really, really stupid because he has a stuttering problem.
Keep going.
And Ken is supposed to... So, should I mention the side plot about Ken trying to kill all these women?
Yes, he only wants to murder one.
So he wants to murder one old woman, but he kills 3.
Well, let's explain what happens.
Okay, you're better at doing it.
They're leaving the heist, and an old lady with a dog sees them. George is afraid that she's going to testify. He gets that lady's address and gives it to Ken. So now Ken decides to kill her. While he's leaving the courtroom, Kevin Costner, Otto, approaches Ken and realizes what's going on. And he screams, on the street where there's people around, "You're gonna kill her! You're gonna murder this old lady." They bet, I believe, £1, British currency, that Ken will not kill the old lady. That's what Otto's thinking.
Yep.
And so he has some failed attempts. He gets some wrong ladies, but eventually...
And he goes to all their funerals.
Yep. My man Ken comes through, and the job is complete.
Right. and let's also go back to the Archie and Wanda thing. Archie and Wanda are now having an affair. Correct?
I would say so.
They're having an affair. Wanda in the beginning was using Archie, but Archie was falling in love with Wanda, and so was Wanda. His wife Wendy, which is really funny, does not know this, and a lot of things happen where he gets this necklace, and it was supposed to be for Wanda with a key on it. Correct? A locket.
What happens is,
yes,
Wanda, I believe she drops her necklace.
Yeah.
When Wendy comes home unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So, John Cleese grabs the necklace, and Wendy sees it and believes it's for her. The necklace has a locket that has the key to the deposit box.
Yep.
Where the diamonds are stored.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Well, I especially like the scene, and I don't remember what part of the movie. It was probably in the middle of the movie where he has to figure out where to get the key, right? He has to hide the key or find a way to take the key and from his wife Wendy, right?
You're talking about the necklace.
I'm sorry, the necklace.
Because he doesn't know that the key is in there.
He stuffs it in his mouth, remember?
Yes. Otto comes to apologize for hanging him out a window.
Yeah. He was attacked, by the way. Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
Archie fakes a robbery to get the necklace back. Otto comes in to apologize, and he doesn't see his face at first. So he believes that it's a real burglar, and he starts attacking Archie, and then he realizes what's going on. He leaves. Wendy comes home, and he puts the necklace in his mouth.
Yep.
Quickly runs off to his office
Yep.
after she gets him free.
Yes. Yes. And so this is going on, and excuse me. Yeah. I think shall we kind of talk about what is the part that really comes to a head? Remember when Wendy finds out what's going on with Archie when he's talking outside. Who's he talking outside to?
Otto is chasing him down.
Yeah.
Because Wanda told him, listen, you got to apologize to this guy. Because if George decides to plea bargain and tell where the diamonds are, he's probably going to tell Archie first. So you got to suck up to him a little bit. So Otto sees Archie, and by this time, Archie wants nothing to do with him. So he starts running. Otto runs after him, trips him, pulls out his gun, and holds it to his face, and just to say, I'm sorry.
I ended it.
Wendy looks out the window and hears them talking.
Right, and he basically said, I ended it with your sister.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's thinking that that's really his sister.
And Otto, while Wendy's listening, and Otto starts saying, listen, you can fuck her brains out for all I care. You know, I'm good with it.
Yeah, don't worry, I understand, you know. But, yeah.
I think this is an excellent film.
It is so funny. It's just a bank heist gone wrong, but very, very hilariously wrong.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Otto is interrogating Ken. Mm-hmm. And he starts like asking him all these obscure philosophy questions. And he puts chips up his nose.
And he's tied up.
Yes.
He's tied up, and he's like, oh, okay, well, what goes good with chips? Fish.
We don't want to give it too much.
Anyway, but he puts chips up his nose. He can't. Then he puts an apple in his mouth, right?
Correct.
He can't breathe. It's like, oh, you can't breathe, so he takes the chips out of his nose. and let us not forget when they go to the airport, because by then they're already figuring out where the
they know where it is.
Where it is, right? The safe deposit box, right?
Wanda gets the money.
Right.
Or gets the diamonds, rather.
So they go to the airport, and were they on like a kind of like a runway or something? Yes.
What happens is Otto holds a gun to Archie's head, and he takes him out to the runway.
Yep. And he tries to get him to go into this barrel of cement. He splashes in the barrel, but gets out before he could, you know.
Because Ken distracts him. Yeah,
Ken distracts him, and so Ken's on this little what do you call it?
I don't know. It's some sort of machine.
Yeah, and he keeps shouting "Revenge!" and Otto said, "Oh no, it's Ken coming to kill me." And he's, you know, Ken has realized that he has made fun of him for the last time. And somehow Otto gets his feet stuck in the cement, right?
Yes.
And by that time, Archie's pretty much gone. Yeah.
It's a great movie. I was so surprised that you had not only never seen this film before, but you were not familiar with the work of Kevin Kline.
I mean, no, I know who Kevin Kline is, but I didn't see enough movies with him in it. I would imagine that he's a very good actor.
I love Kevin Kline's work.
Yeah. Yeah, he was very good at being funny, but very deranged.
He's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad that he got the Oscar, because usually the Academy does not acknowledge comedic roles.
They don't. It's usually dramatic roles. Usually.
But that year he was nominated.
What year was this?
88.
Wow.
And he was running against Dean Stockwell, who was in Married to the Mob, a film that you have not seen.
I don't think I have.
It's a great movie.
I saw So I Married an Axe Murderer, but that's a different movie.
That's a different movie, babe.
Okay, yeah, I know.
They have different titles and everything and different people. I'm just saying, babe.
I know.
I still love you, babes.
I know.
Don't you call me okay.
I know. I know.
So overall, you would recommend...
I know. Yes.
Overall, you would... Please don't tickle me, babe. That's all.
Okay.
Overall, you would recommend this.
Yes, I would.
Nice.
Yes, I would.
Then we watched...
So I picked this movie. It was called He's Just Not That Into You. It is about 5 women, and the commonality of these women is that they're all having guy problems. One woman is married, and her marriage is falling apart, little by little.
The man is cheating.
She doesn't know that until later. Okay, the man is cheating. He also has a huge smoking problem. But
her father died of lung cancer.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, was it?
Yes, she says that in the movie. She says, "My dad died of lung cancer."
Oh, that's right. Her dad died of lung cancer.
I would personally be more concerned with the cheating, but that's just me.
Well, that's just a small fraction of why their marriage is falling apart, I would assume.
Keep going.
And then there's another woman who's been with her boyfriend for over 7 years, but he still will not ask her to marry her. Ask her to marry him, and she's fed up, and they break up. And that's all I'm going to say about that one. This other girl goes on a couple of dates. And she's the kind of girl that thinks, okay, well, if this guy says it's nice to meet you at the end of the date, that probably means he's going to call me. She has this notion that if there is any guy that pays any attention to her, then that means that there's something going on. And I'm sure a lot of women have thought that too. Meanwhile, this other woman is in 2 relationships. She is seeing this guy on the side, but they're kind of like friends with benefits, I guess. If I could describe that correctly, I think they were friends with benefits. But then she gets entangled in a relationship with a married guy who just happens to be the husband of the woman whose marriage is falling apart. And then the last person, who's played by Drew Barrymore, is looking for somebody online. She hasn't seen anybody yet. And looking for somebody. But it's interesting to see how all these women's stories are intertwining with each other. They're all overlapping.
I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It's a little hard to follow because of so many different characters. I like Drew Barrymore, but I honestly think the film would have been better without her in it. Not that she doesn't do a good job, but I felt that having her character was a little bit too much overkill. And
I disagree, because all these women have guy problems, and even women who are trying to seek somebody online still have problems. But, I don't know, she probably has other problems besides trying to find a guy. But we don't really know much about her story because she's just like one of the side plots.
It felt like they had her in so they could say, listen, we have Drew Barrymore in here too. Instead of she's really contributing to the story. She felt like the soldier in Now and Then.
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay. So I don't think of it that way. I think she definitely does contribute. She may not contribute in a big way, but I think she contributes in her own way.
How?
Because, like I said, she may not be having as big a problem as those other women, but she still is having a problem. She's just not going out and looking for guys in person.
But we're already seeing enough issues with women to where it's confusing. We don't need to add on top of that.
Yeah, but that's just how the story is.
I think the story would have moved along at a better pace without her.
I disagree with that, and I will always disagree with it.
Always?
Yes, always.
Really?
Yes, always.
That's some strong terminology, Jalo.
Yes.
I did enjoy the movie, though.
That's good.
But I was constantly saying to you, like, who's this character? Who's that? That guy's with a woman. I thought he was gay. What's this person doing?
No. And I had to explain that the guy that you're thinking about was not gay. He went on a date with a character named Gigi. That's Gigi is this crazy girl that thinks that any attention from a guy means that he's going to call her.
Right, but I thought that he was gay because he didn't call her back. And while he reached out to Scarlett Johansson, it was only because she was kind of like his beard in the movie.
Yeah, safety date, I guess.
And then eventually they become more than that.
Well, okay, they become more than that, but she realizes that wasn't for her. After that whole fiasco with the one guy who played the husband, I can't remember what his name is. But there were some funny things in that in that movie. But yeah, I liked it. That was the second time I saw it, and I thought it would be a fun romantic comedy.
There were things in it that I liked. I enjoyed the stuff with Jennifer Aniston and Ben Affleck. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Even though it was a little bit predictable, I still liked it. It was
Yeah.
still appealing to me.
I thought that it was interesting that even though she broke up with him, he was still there for her when something was going on with her father, because her father had a heart attack.
Yeah, but he still loved her.
Yeah.
And they had like just broken up maybe a week earlier.
I think it might have been more than that.
No, I don't think so.
I think maybe it seemed like a week later, but it may have been more than that. I can't tell.
That's possible.
But I would have liked, okay. So there's another guy in the movie named Alex, played by Justin Long, who used to date Drew Barrymore at one time. Did you know that?
You told me that this morning.
Yes. So there's a scene where Gigi goes on a date with his friend Bill because he was supposed to go on a date with her, but he got the days wrong. And I thought, oh, Bill, that's kind of a interesting character. I want to know what happens with him. But then all of a sudden Alex shows up. I think it would have been interesting to know what would have happened with her and Bill.
How do you mean? Do you think it would have been interesting if Alex never shows up, or if he comes to her place and she rejects him?
It would have been interesting if either he never shows up or she rejects him. Because Alex is the one that's trying to keep her, trying to, what do you call it? Trying to impart wisdom on her about men. And it just didn't seem like he was interested until much later. Until she finally said, you're alone because of ...
I related with his character.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I know that there have been times in my life where I've either rejected women or I didn't pursue somebody who I thought may have been interested in me because I assumed that I was somehow protecting myself by staying distant and being alone.
And I would imagine this was when you were much younger and you didn't know.
It's Jalo.
No, you know what I mean.
Yes.
You were still growing in in that process.
Back when I was a Flintstones kid.
I was in the 80s. 10 million strong and growing.
That's right.
That is interesting. That is really interesting. But I guess in some ways I kind of identified with Gigi's character because before, when I was single, before I met the Rickster, Mr. Rick over here, I was paying attention to little things like that. And if I was single, I still would, but I wouldn't go so deep into it. And I do believe that if a man wants a woman, he will do whatever he can to get her. Whether he shows up at places that she's at, whether he calls her at a certain time of the day, whether he sends her gifts or flowers. Some men can definitely come on too strong and be very obsessive, which I know how that feels like. I'll just say this.
Don't say any names.
I dated a guy for a week. I won't say any names. And he was the epitome of smothering. He would call me, but he would also show up at my house unannounced pretty much every day. Like, he just wouldn't leave. And it was just so hard to get him to go away. And that's one of the reasons why I dated him for a week. And he just did not understand the meaning of boundaries. I think the key word is boundary. They did not, and he did not. People like him do not understand the meaning of boundaries.
That's right.
And what is acceptable to a woman. So, anyway.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
I felt like maybe I needed a reference book to know every character because there are so many. But I did enjoy it, though.
I don't know that it is in the book. I've never read the book.
Well, what I'm saying is like a dictionary of characters. So,
Right.
This person is with this person, but this person's straight. This person, it felt like there was a lot to keep track of.
Okay.
Which is not a bad thing.
Well, okay, so I was going to say that the movie is based on a book. I have not read the book. I don't know that I will read the book, but the movie is based on the book. I don't think that the characters are in the book, but I'm thinking that they made characters. They made characters to kind of coincide with the book. That's what I'm thinking.
I did enjoy it overall, though.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
Oh, yes, boys.
I thought it was fun, but you said that you thought that Gigi was being played by somebody that you remember listening to.
No, it was because they have all these little monologues throughout the movie.
Yeah, Gigi was the one that was narrating.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't?
No, I'm talking about the monologues they have. So, like, they had the old lady.
Yeah, the old lady, yep.
And they had various other people. There was one lady who said something to the effect of, I call man every 15 minutes.
That was Gigi.
That wasn't Gigi.
Yes, it was.
Was it Gigi?
Yes.
Okay, never
I've
mind.
seen it before.
Okay, I completely got that wrong.
No. Gigi.
You stuffed me with cake and ice cream before I watched the movie.
That was not my fault.
Oh, I'm not complaining, babe.
That was not my fault. You wanted to eat it. You chose to eat it. I didn't force you to eat it. I asked you why. I didn't force it down his mouth, down his throat. He ate it willingly, and I ate cake. It was good too.
No, but there were a lot of different monologues in the movie. I don't think that was Gigi.
It was Gigi.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Gigi is a psycho crazy person.
I know who she is.
Yeah, and she does call men every 15 minutes.
Wait a second. So why does Gigi have a monologue, but then there were these random people that you never see in the movie who have monologues?
I have no idea why.
See,
I wish there were more people. I wish there were more people that had monologues, and I can't explain why. I don't know.
This is my problem with the movie. It's they try to cram too much in it, and it makes it very difficult to follow. I'm also a slow person. I'm not this slow, but
Okay.
But I like things. I like to know who the characters are. Mm-hmm. And you know how we are when we watch movies. I even if I've seen the movie a bunch of times, it has to be a special character for me to remember the name of it.
Did it help that I was able to explain which character went with what plot?
It did.
Okay.
But that's my complaint about the movie is it really should have been like 2 movies instead of 1.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just me though, babe. I did like it all overall.
Oh, good.
Yes, babe.
I think before we watched it, I should have told you that you really have to pay attention to the women because they do, their stories overlap.
Yes.
But I'm glad that it helped me. It helped you for me to describe which girl went with which story.
It was a good movie.
It was.
I'm glad I got to watch it with my Jalo.
Yeah,
after we ate cake.
We did. We had a simple dinner of bagel sandwiches and potato chips.
We're eating very healthy this month, everybody.
No, we're not. If you really want to be technical, we are not. We are being unhealthy together in some ways.
I've kind of slipped since this whole coronavirus thing started, but keep going.
Well, we both have, but we have made some really healthy things though.
Yes. But not this weekend.
This weekend. Well, the other we talked about the burritos.
Yeah, let's just go from last night.
Okay, so we made some bagel sandwiches and we had some chips on the side, and then I bought a red velvet cake because I love red velvet cake and anything chocolate. And that cream cheese, the light cream cheese frosting, that was so good.
And we put on chocolate ice cream.
Yes, we did.
Extremely decadent.
Ugh.
And you should not do that every day.
No.
That said, once in a while, it is amazing.
Yeah, and sometimes I love having cake in the morning when I can.
Yeah, we also did it today, too.
Right. Well, that's what I was alluding to.
No, but we did it last night, too. we put on the chocolate ice cream onto the red velvet cake.
But when we don't have cake very often.
I believe the last time we had red velvet cake was 16 months ago.
It might have been a year and a half ago.
On your 39th birthday, and you're deep into your 40th year now.
Yeah, kind of. I don't really want to talk about that.
All right, go ahead.
No. Actually, this year could improve, but it wasn't like a completely bad year. I just wish that I could have had more of a celebratory year, but it's still not a bad thing. We're kind of right now. I feel like we're in limbo, but
in 2016, John Oliver made this video about why that year completely sucked and was a waste of time. The great thing about this year is I'm expecting a superior sequel to that video.
Oh, okay. And I can care less about John Oliver.
Okay.
I'm not a John Oliver fan.
You really should become.
Although I did like the episode about debt, which really makes it interesting to learn about what debt collectors do.
He's really cool. I resisted getting into his stuff for a while just because so many people were talking about last week tonight.
Yeah, you gotta get out of the habit of not doing that.
I'm not doing what?
Not giving something a chance just because people are saying how good it is.
I know, it's a weird thing I do.
That's a weird habit.
But once I started watching it, I really, really enjoyed it.
But anyway, getting back to yesterday.
Yesterday.
So we had a simple dinner and we ate a very decadent cake. Well, it was rich, but it was light. The frosting was nice and light and creamy, and I was so happy that the grocery delivery driver got this cake, and I was
from Walmart.
Yes, I was so thankful because I have not had a red velvet cake in what seems like years.
16 months to be exact.
Yeah, but it wasn't exactly red. Yeah, it's a velvet cake, but it wasn't red.
I did not use food dye.
We did not use food dye, but it tasted very good 16 months ago, just as much as it tasted really good now. And we'll just have to see who eats the last piece.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be you.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see. It was so good that this morning I woke up away from Alana. Not in the bathroom or anything.
Well, there's been some traveling with a pillow.
So, Alana keeps saying that I move in my sleep, and I know that I do that, but I really wasn't sure on the extent of it until this morning. She comes over and she's like, "Oh, wake up, okay, you're all the way over there."
I don't know that I already used to know all the details, but let's just say that...
let's just say that you were correct.
Yeah.
That I move more in my sleep than I thought, and I already thought that I moved a lot.
Well, see, here's the thing. I didn't want, anyone who sleeps on a pillow on the floor here in my room, I don't want them to go so far away to the right that they hit their head on the dresser.
And I was dangerously close to that, apparently.
When
I woke up this morning, I was like, "Babe, I thought my pillow was like right next to yours."
I said, no. I explained to him that he moves more than he realizes. And I said, I don't want you to get hurt because you're that close to the dresser. You thought you were close to the closet. And that was one thing, and I moved the pillows away from the closet. And there you were. Your head is just sat, almost very, very close to the dresser. And, I don't know. Just a thought.
Yes, babes.
Just a thought.
I agree.
I know somebody in my family that used to move around in her sleep a lot when she was a kid. And
you killed her?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I remember I was staying over at her house.
The night that you murdered her?
No, I did.
Go ahead.
I did not.
All right, go ahead. Is she still alive?
Yes.
Oh,
very much alive.
Okay.
Anyway, I was sleeping on the floor, and I woke up the next morning, and she moved so much that her leg was very close to my head.
Oh no.
She almost kicked me in the head. Yeah, and some people that just can't stay still.
Yes, babes. I think we've covered a lot. Now, was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Anything else? Like what?
Well, I know that yesterday you had some pain in your lower body.
Oh yeah, because sleeping on the floor a lot, sometimes it hurts to move. Um, Even if I had a sheet on the floor, which I should put there until the bed is ready to use. It hurts sometimes. I've been kind of sometimes I wake up and the lower part of my back is kind of numb because I've been kind of moving. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
It does. Because
It hurts.
I've been having some back stuff whenever I wake up at your place.
It hurts.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the weird thing is, and I know we've talked about this before many times, is I haven't had that issue sleeping on the floor before. In fact, I actually usually feel better after I sleep on the floor.
But I think part of it is the carpet. This is kind of like it feels like a harder carpet.
It does.
If the carpet was much softer and much cushier, it probably would feel better.
I remember that one day you were cleaning up in the kitchen, and I was just like laying on the floor in there.
Yeah.
It felt much better than the floor in your bedroom.
I understand. Well, I think because the floor is colder, cooler rather.
That might have something to do with it.
But I don't like the idea of sleeping on a floor like in the living room just because.
If you sleep on the floor in the kitchen, babe, you could sleep near your fridge, and if you want a midnight snack, you just stand up and open the door and get something.
Ice cream, anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. That is funny.
Thank you.
That would be really funny if my mom calls and she's like, "Have you been sleeping on your couch?" "No, but I slept in the kitchen last night."
Had some good snacks in the middle of the night.
No, that's a dangerous place to sleep. You don't want to do that.
Live with people, right?
No, even if you're by yourself.
Really?
You know what I heard about people, and this kind of freaks me out a little bit, how people would sleepwalk in their sleep. They would sleepwalk and they would go to the fridge or the closet and they would like binge eat.
I'm so glad I've never had.
Oh my goodness, that would freak me out. And then they wonder why they ballooned.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Some people do that.
I hear you, babe.
I mean, completely unaware that they've completely eaten a bag of chips or an entire bag of chips.
But I doubt that would happen to you. I think you might wake up and be more inclined to get something to eat, but I don't think that you would forget it by the time you wake up again.
No, I couldn't do that. I'm usually a really light sleeper. With, if I'm not so tired that I don't hear anything or feel anything, and I usually don't sleep in a deep sleep every single night. So, you know what I mean?
I hear you, babe.
I feel bad for the people that have like restless leg syndrome. You ever heard of that? When your legs move uncontrollably and you can't sleep because.
Oh, I've heard.
Did you hear about that one?
It's rare, but yeah.
Oh my goodness, I would not want to have that.
That's really bad.
You know what else is bad? I heard this story about this guy that was having like a lot of sleep problems for years and years because he kept rocking in his sleep. Like it would literally keep him up at night.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, wow, I've never heard that at all.
People have some weird stuff, babe.
They do. Narcolepsy, Klein-Levin syndrome. Have you heard that one?
No.
I heard this story about this girl who slept from I think she was a teen girl, and she slept from February to sometime in May.
No way.
Yeah.
So what does that mean exactly? Would you get up for an hour a day to use the bathroom and eat, or what?
I have no idea. She slept for months, and she even missed her prom.
That sucks.
Well, it would be horrible had she known that she was going to sleep that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's called Klein-Levin syndrome or something.
Does
like that.
not sound good.
That doesn't sound good at all. It's like that story of Rip Van Winkle?
Yes.
When he sleeps for 100 years, I think it was.
Something like that.
Something like that. It had to do with his sleep. He wakes up and everything in the world is different.
In some ways, I would like that, to wake up in 100 years. If things are like Star Trek and not Mad Max.
Mad Max. I don't believe I watched that one.
It's a post-apocalyptic film with Mel Gibson.
I think it would be really interesting to sleep for 24 hours and not have to worry about going to the bathroom, eating or drinking or calling anybody.
You could arrange that.
But I don't know that I want to do that.
No.
I don't want to turn completely off.
That's good, babe.
because I want to know what's going on with people, and
Yeah.
I don't want to. That would be like, I would imagine. We're talking about sleep here, right? I would imagine that a really severely depressed person would be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
I would assume so.
Have you ever had those things where you just want to sleep the entire day and not do anything?
I've wanted that. I've never slept the entire day, but there have been times where I've slept a good portion of the day.
Okay, I have
Back
that.
in my younger days.
I did that too, but I would like sleep in intervals of naps.
Yeah.
But not straight through, you know. But, sometimes if you need sleep, you need sleep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Jalo?
I just can't believe that 2 years have gone, and we discussed all of that yesterday.
Yeah.
And again, happy 2 years.
Happy 2 years, babes.
And to another 2 years if possible.
Yeah.
And we'll just continue on this journey, and I'm just enjoying doing the podcast with you, and looking forward to more episodes.
Oh, great. Good, babe.
Very good.
I'm looking forward to having some more fun with my Jalo.
Yay.
And after this, I should probably get ready to leave before things get too crazy. But I can't wait to see you again soon, babe-boys.
Yes.
And you're going to walk me downstairs, okay?
I can do that.
All right.
Yeah, I can certainly do that.
But first, we got to do some kissing before.
That's right.
That's right, babes.
I have an obligation to do that.
Legal obligation.
Yes. And so anyway, great movies, great Star Trek episodes, great food, great fun. It was just great.
Oh, yes. Well, I believe that's it, Jalo.
That is it, Hammond.
All right, until next time.
Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.